Then I'll go in order going forward. I'll go in order.
There you go. Okay. So let's see. I think that should be good.
And I'm going to set my time. I'm going to do my Hey Siri timer.
I love it. So whenever you're ready, yeah. And again, pretend that it's a workshop as much as you can. I will stand up on my head if you want me to stand on my head. Like, just make it so that you're not just talking to me, so that you would be talking to a group, and I can answer for whatever. I have multiple personalities, so.
And this is a good time for it.
Exactly. So whenever you're ready, Heather, have fun.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, and welcome to today's PCA Double Goal Coaching Workshop. I'm excited to be here. How about all you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Woo-hoo, Friday.
Nice job. Nice job. All right. Let's get started with some simple introductions. So in 20 seconds or less, let's tell us your name, the sport that you coach, and why you coach. We'll start with Kelly.
Woohoo! All right. My name is Kelly Kratz, and I coach lacrosse right now. I've coached a lot of different sports, but right now I'm coaching under 12 girls lacrosse. And I started coaching this youth lacrosse age 9 years ago, when my oldest daughter, who's graduating this year, was in 3rd grade, and they needed coaches. And I was actually coaching high school at the time. And I said, I can't coach high school and youth at the same time. And they said, sure you can. So I started coaching this age girls, and I realized the following year that I wanted to stick with this age, because there are a lot of things that I think they were missing out on just in being a part of a team, like all the stuff that didn't have to do with the skills of lacrosse. They were really missing out on. And I thought, you know what, I was an elementary teacher also at the time, and I thought, this is the age that I want to be coaching. So I stopped coaching high school and have been coaching youth lacrosse ever since. It's all for the money, making a lot more money doing it this way.
Making a lot more money on that, absolutely. Whew. All right. And then I'd obviously go on. Yep. So thank you, and I appreciate everybody sharing. My name is Heather Eakins. I've also coached for over 20 years now in several different sports at several different wide range, from the youth all the way to international. I'm currently coaching lacrosse also here in Arizona. And I love coaching because I love watching the girls mature, or the athletes mature, not only as athletes, but also as individual players. It's something I think you can't get anywhere else. And it just, sports brings so much to an individual. So today as I said in the beginning, that this is a workshop, and as a workshop, it's going to be interactive. So to start with, let's go ahead and put your finger on your nose if you've ever been to a PCA workshop in the past, and go ahead and tug on your ears if you have not. Okay. Now, there's some people that are confused out there. I see that. That's okay. I see some people that were like, touch my nose, be on my ear. What are you talking about? That's kind of what I'm going to do today with you. Is I'd like to challenge you to go ahead and maybe get a little bit uncomfortable, be a little bit vulnerable, and definitely to share with the group, because I know that strength comes in a large community. And while I have a lot to share with you guys on how to help people more of a positive and bring a positive coaching culture to your team, I know that you guys have so much information that I can learn from. So today's workshop, we are going to be focusing on honoring the game. In 1 to 2 sentences, what does honoring the game mean to you when you hear that?
I would think it would mean playing the game right.
Playing the game right. By right, right now we're going to talk to you, so I'm going to expand. And I'm going to say, by right, what do we think right means?
I just think doing things the right way, not cheating, not breaking any rules, teaching the players just about the foundation of the game and why it's important. I think there's a lot of kids these days that are trying to take shortcuts. So I'm just thinking it reminds me more of like a foundational kind of thing. Okay,
perfect. Great answer.
But this guy over here said he thinks it's about sportsmanship.
He thinks about sportsmanship. Now, I didn't hear the person in the back up to your left. What did she say?
She said, she thought it was about like respecting officials or something, like just being respectful of the people that are around.
Respecting officials, what?
Yeah, crazy.
So at PCA, those are all great answers, and they all fit right in line with what we're doing here at PCA. We use the acronym ROOTS. You as coaches have to cultivate positive competition, and you can do that through ROOTS. Now, ROOTS is, like I said, is an acronym. The R stands for rules. Coaches need to model following the rules as they were written, not bending the rules, like you said, not trying to see what you can get away with. I remember as a coach and player, or as a player, not as a coach, how is like, ooh, can I get away with this inside of my sock? Can I hold on to her jersey? And we still see that, sometimes at the high levels. So playing by the rules is a really big thing. The next O in Roots stands for opponents. So why are opponents? Why do you think they're an important part of Roots?
I think you can't have a game without opponents.
There we go. That's absolutely true. Now, also having worthy opponents. Opponents can make your team much better. It can also make your team recognize that they have the ability in tough situations to go and be their best, to work hard, to be the best that they can be out on that field. And that's a key thing when it comes to honoring the game, because as you said, we couldn't even be playing the game unless there's somebody that wanted to play against us. Next O stands for officials. Now, the lady in the back there made a statement that she said about respecting officials. She was spot on. Are any of you out there also officials? You can raise your hand.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, but you were an official. Okay, I am an official still now. It's hard. It's hard at times to possibly respect them when you don't feel that the call that they're making is the right call. You saw something different than they saw. But you as a coach, that is your job. That is how you can model honoring the game. That is how you can show your players what can actually be, what you can control and what you can't. You can control how you react to those coaches, or how you react to those officials. And in this day and age, we're seeing a lot on social media, a lot in the papers, like newspaper articles on Sports Illustrated. I think I just saw one that was talking about how the officials, some of your players are feeling embarrassed by some of the way coaches and parents are talking to officials. So this is a great opportunity for you to show what it really truly means. The second is TE, or the next letter is T in Roots, and that stands for teammates. And that stands for teammates. I coached in Pengan. That was the first place that I learned how to coach lacrosse. And I was similar to you, Kelly, where it was voluntold. A lot of us are voluntold to coach. And yes, what do you mean? I don't know the sport. I never played the sport. Doesn't matter. Just get out there, the officials, and I'll let you know what's going on. But I have always told my players, and we had a thing that said pride in class. Our shirts all said pride in class. That meant on and off the field. Behaving in a way that your teammates, some of you refer to that's your family. Your team is your family. Yes, as coaches, how many of us are like, I think I see my players more than I see my family sometimes during, and that's absolutely true. So it's presenting and helping that your players present themselves in a way that you would be honored. You would be happy that they were representing your school and your team. And you in turn you are the first model for that, on and off the field. That goes, for me, that goes without saying. How many of you have teammates or have players, especially with social media now? I think this is much different than when I was playing, but with social media now, that where you look at their pictures and you're like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. What's going on out there? So it's a little bit different avenue. It might be a little bit more difficult for us as coaches right now, that it's not just what you see and what happens in your little town, but now it can be viewed everywhere. It's global. As long as you've got internet connection, somebody can find out what you're doing. So that's a big thing to instill in your players. And once again, start with yourself, which brings us to the S, self. This is the foundation of honoring the game. It's a foundation of a lot of things in life. Being able to have self-respect for yourself, being able to have your own standards and then live up to them no matter what the situation is. At PCA, you as coaches are the face. We say to you, you are the face of the team. You set the example. When tough situations happen, when calls don't go your way, when 4 players show up to a practice, what standards do you have and how you respond to those? Does anybody have any questions or anything? Do any of you use Roots? Any part of Roots? Do any of you? Well, Sally there in the back said that she thinks it's respecting officials. So I think all of you as coaches know a little bit about these, agree with them. And it might be a matter of, in this day and age, it's a win at all cost. It is the score is more important than how you got there. And it can, here at PCA, it can be both. It can be a combination of winning and also learning life lessons, which is what we're talking about here. And because some of us do see our players more than sometimes they see their parents and they see their friends and they see their sisters. The amount of impact we have on them as coaches is great. It's greater than probably most people besides their parents will ever have. Okay, so the next slide, which I know we're not doing slides because you and I, so the next slide is actually our scenario slide that comes up. It's okay, it's no big deal. When I say go, we are going to get up, we're going to get into groups of 3, and we're going to discuss the scenario. I can't see what it says right now, but in that time, you're going to have 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to discuss how you would respond to that scenario and how your response reflects honoring the game, respects roots. How does it fit in? At the end of your 2 minutes, I'll say team and you clap 1 time. All right. Go, get into your groups. 2 minutes starts now. We won't go the full 2 minutes in this. Yeah. Obviously, we could. I could. And then at the end, I'd say team, and one group would clap, and I'd probably say team again, and another group would clap, and we'd finally get all their attention. Yes. All right. Did everybody have some great discussions? Meet some people?
Yep.
Great. Who would like to share your story, your discussion? You'll have about 30, 45 seconds to go ahead and share with us, you know, how you respond and how that response reflects to honoring the game. And that type of
I'll share. So my group, we spent a lot of time talking about when this happened in games. So we got a little distracted because we were all sharing our stories. But we all decided that we probably didn't handle it the best way that we should have at the time to honor the game. But because all 3 of us said that we were really angry and we like yelled to the official right away, like, you know, we reacted in a way we weren't that proud of. So having to think through it again, if we had it to do again, we talked about just how we have to remember the big picture. We have to remember that this is a game and it was a call, and that actually my partner over here had a good point that he said that a lot of times the refs have a horrible vantage point. They have probably the worst vantage point in the whole game to be able to actually see what's going on. And maybe the coaches had a better angle, and we have to remember that they're just doing the best they can. And we also talked about how we could coach up our bench, like the girls on the sidelines that are with us, even because they're probably flipping out too. So to be able to turn to them and say, hey guys, you know what? The ref made a call. It was a mistake. You know, we think it was a mistake, but let's just move on from it and let's just go out and get the next play. So that was our advice.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. This group over here, I heard them talking. Okay. And they were saying the same thing as you did. Like, a lot of those situations, especially tough games, and your adrenaline's going, that they didn't make their first response, or there was a reaction, not a response. So, but if they had to redo it again, or some of them have had that option in other games to do it, and they came back, they changed what they were doing. So I love everybody's responses. That was definitely a tough situation, a tough scenario, and it's much easier, I think, right now, as we're not stuck in the middle of it with possibly state championship, you know, to possibly lose or win based on a call. It's a lot easier to have it right now. I know I've been in that situation before. I have actually, like I said, I spent 20 years coaching, plus years coaching. And last year was the first time I got a yellow card.
Oh.
I'm not agreeing with the yellow card, but I'm also not agreeing with my actions that took place around that time either. You know, and I had to regroup myself, explain that what I did was a mistake, that was a complete reaction of what just happened, and that I've never, and this is something I tell my players. I tell all my players, and I tell my parents and my coaches, very, very, very rarely at the level that we're coaching, even at the Division I and II high levels, do you ever see a call reverse because of a coach complaining, a parent complaining, or a player complaining? So your energy is used much better in different ways to produce a positive outcome to that. So very similar to Kelly, to what your group was saying, which was just tell the players, hey, we're moving on. This is what we can control. Boom, let's move on. But do any of you have self-control routines? Okay, because when emotions run high, as we have for coaches, which is majority of the time, unless we're winning by a lot, we do need to model self-control to our players. So does anybody have a self-control routine that they use? It can be small.
Yeah, I find I used to take a deep breath, but I realized that the girls on my team know the breath.
Okay, there we go. Yes, it's like you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Yes. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Sorry.
I just thought you were taking a deep breath, counting to 10.
No, I have my phone on too, so I can have the PowerPoint on the phone, and when somebody calls in, it mutes it. So anyway, I used to take a deep breath, and then the girls on my team called me out for it because they said, like, I took a deep breath one time, like, and they're like, oh no, she's mad. And I was thinking, oh gosh, like now they think when I take a deep breath, I'm mad. So now if I get frustrated in a game, I laugh, or I walk down the sidelines and I just high five somebody or hug somebody, or I just have to like just completely change, like, okay, let's go, you know, just keep going. And so a hug or high five from one of the players, or I'll say, okay, I need a hug, and they'll come over and they hug me when they know I'm frustrated. So it works.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Sometimes I'll do the same thing, you know, because you're right, the breath. Like sometimes I'll just stand there because I'm not sure if I can compose myself to turn to my teammates, and I will count to 10 while breathing and just be like I'm looking at doing some stats or something. And then I'll be like, all right, let's move on. Here we go. And then I'll clap. I'll like clap myself or I'll high five. I love that. I love those routines. Having an effective self-control routine definitely will distract you from whatever bothered you to begin with, whether it be a call, whether it be a player, whether it be a parent. I mean, we're sitting here talking game scenarios, but as coaches, we also have to, we have to have conversations. It used to be a big thing for me. And there's a lot of coaches I hear this from that are like, if I could just get my high school girls away from their parents for the season, it'd be so much easier. But that's not reality. Okay. That isn't, I call that a dead person's wish, you know? So we do, and to go ahead and to be able to have the conversations with the parents and to be able to have the relationship with the parents. And sometimes it's not going to go your way, but it will distract you. Your self-control routines will distract you. And it also gives you time to respond versus react. And when you respond, you're going to respond according to your standards. The standards, the S, the part of S in roots, setting your standards as for honoring the game and self-respect. And so that's breaking this all down. What it really comes down to is a culture. For some of you, it might be a culture change. Some of your programs might be a very win at all costs at this point in time. Some of them may not be. Some of them might be, you know, you might have control of the culture that you have on your team. Actually, you all have control of it. In a PCA, we define culture as the way we do things. Very, very, very simple. I used to be asked, what is culture? And okay, what is your culture? What does that look like? And it can get overwhelming. It's like saying, what's your coaching philosophy? And it breaks it down to usually a sentence or two. But does everybody out here believe that they are in control of the culture of their team? Or that their team has a culture? Do you believe that your team has a culture?
Yes.
Yes. I hear no over there. You don't think your team has a culture? Yes, you do. Okay, so a little bit of combination of both. Your team does have a culture, okay? I want to ask and challenge the ones that said no, your team does not have a culture, to maybe question, is this culture one that you want to have? Is this the reason you're like, no, our team doesn't really have a culture? Because it doesn't align with the culture that you want, with this honoring the game culture, with the roots, and I went back with the elm tree, you know, with filling the emotional tank. That isn't the culture. And this is a culture you want. And you know what? That's okay. This is like you say to your players. Sometimes things happen out there, but you're in control. That creates an opportunity for you to go and define what your team culture is going to be. When I first came on to PCA, I was originally a U.S. lacrosse trainer, and that was about 5 years ago. I became a U.S. lacrosse trainer, and it honestly changed the way I coached. I believe that you coached the last way you were coached. And I remember I'm going to give a quick story, being at Roanoke College for the Division III National Championship. weekend. They had a clinic there, and um, the head coach of Roanoke College, she gave the clinic, and she talked about this positive culture. And, you know, when the kids make a mistake, we don't need to point it out. And I remember thinking, this was like 15 years ago, going, I don't know how you're going to correct them. I don't know what you're doing about that. You know, like, she was crazy. And I realize now that it is so much better. I'm also a mom of 6. So, you know, I do have my moments of hollering at the children, but I do find that the more we appraise, the more you show them that something doesn't go right. When it doesn't go right, that there's opportunities for them to make it right. It sometimes takes a little longer, coaches. Sometimes takes a little bit more work to begin with, because you are changing yourself just like you're changing your team. But when it works and when it clicks, and as it starts to, you'll just have, you won't know what's going on. It's such an amazing feeling. And I want you to recognize that. I want you to realize that. I want you to take that out, that, you know, one of the things you take from this workshop today is that you can control every aspect of the culture that you have for your team. And you are the face of your team. So I want to thank you for welcoming me. Okay. Thank you for your participation and wanting to instill and support a positive culture within your teams, your organization. And I appreciate all of you. I will say we're not going to leave you. PCA isn't like, hey, we're gone. How you doing? Good job. Good luck. We actually have resources for you, which I don't know if it's up on the screen right now, but if it was up on the screen, okay. That's amazing resources. At the beginning of this clinic, you went and you signed in, and you text and you sent your name and your information, so that way you would get credit for it. And you'll also be getting some emails from PCA, and they're great emails. I get them not as a trainer, just as a mom and as a coach, and I absolutely love them. There isn't one I don't see. They're out there on social media. And the people that you have in this room right now, all these coaches, maybe they're some of your rival coaches. You're all in here for a reason. You all want to bring a change and have a positive culture. So once again, your contribution to this workshop helped make the workshop great. And thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, that was that.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. How'd you feel doing that?
Good. I think, I don't know if I brought PCA's name in enough, but I don't know if I necessarily needed to, because they're at a PCA workshop, and I think they know that. Okay.
They got. Don't have to worry about that. No, I thought you hit a lot of great points, Heather. I love working with people that already are experienced at doing workshops. It's huge. It's huge. Let me tell you, there's so many people that are fantastic coaches, but they're not used to doing workshops. And so it's just much more challenging, but there's so many little nuances of what you did that I'm like, oh, she's already got this down. This is awesome. Just some things, simple things like, all right, get in a group of 3 when I say go, and turn to a partner, and all that kind of stuff. You just take for granted. Sometimes people take it for granted that that's easy to do, and it's not without practicing it. So I did so appreciate that. And I just think your energy is good. I think you're very relatable, and you're very conversational, which I like a lot. I like it better when you're because it is a conversation. We're having a conversation about coaching, and you made it really clear that this is a workshop, and, you guys are going to share with each other. This is a think tank. You're going to learn from each other, get uncomfortable, be vulnerable, be honest. And right off the bat, that just sets a tone for what you're going to be doing. So I think that was great right off the bat too. And I love the ear and the nose thing. But there's a trainer that's near me, and I watched him do a workshop the other day, and he did like the cross your arms and then cross your arms the opposite way. And he said, you know how uncomfortable that feels? Yeah, that's how I want you to be in this workshop. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel strange. So I thought that was good. I really like the way, I felt like you knew the material, like obviously down pat, like you've got the roots down, you've got the purpose for the roots, you're bringing in culture. I think that was all fabulous. What I'd love to see you do more of is challenge me as a coach as to which ones are hard for me and why. Okay. Which ones are hard for me to like what, because if you're talking about the culture that you have, and I thought you were going to go there when you said, like, do you have a culture? Do you not have a culture? I think if you think about, you all, the bottom line, and you said it, you do have a culture. It's not always the culture you want, but right. You do. And I think, the point that you hit home, that you as a coach, we want you as a coach to dictate the culture, not the 13-year-old boys that you're coaching, because their culture is going to be completely different. So looking at the roots of your culture, this Sorry. I've never gotten so many phone calls in my life. Looking at the foundation of the roots, you know, each of these areas, which one of those 5 is most challenging for you as a coach? Or which one is most challenging for your athletes at this point in the season, or, you know, before the season? And then the point of taking it one step further is that we have to be intentional about teaching respect for officials and respect for opponents. And what do you do? So have them like talk about that. Have them get in groups and talk about, how do you actually teach your team to respect officials? How do you teach your team to be respectful of their opponents? How do you teach your team to have self-respect? So there's little things in there that I think can make the coaches realize, because a lot of them will say, I do this. Oh, yeah, I have a good culture. Yeah, we respect each other. And then, you know, you walk around and you watch the team. I've done a lot of observations, and I actually say this at workshops. One of the things we do as PCA trainers is consultations, where we'll go to a workshop, or we'll go to a practice, and we'll watch and we'll take notes and we'll just give them pointers. And there are so many teams I've observed that the kids are on the ball when the coach is there. As soon as the coach walks away, the kids are like not doing anything they're supposed to do. They're picking on each other. They're screaming, they're cursing, they're whatever. And, you know, and then the coach comes back and says, oh no, they're really respectful. They're a great group of kids. You know, they are when the coach is there, but when the coach is not there, what are they doing? So I would just love to see you challenge the coaches with that point.
And that's, I'm glad you said that, because I will say, when I was going through roots, I was like, as I was going through it with you, A, I was looking at the time, but B, I felt like I was missing something, and that's what I was missing. Like, I feel like there should be, like, after I just discuss it, there should be some discussion, even the how, like the ones that are like, yeah, we do X, Y, Z. So, okay, well, go ahead and partner up with somebody or something like that and explain how. And then a minute, and then just stop them, keep them in their partners. And then now explain your challenges, or explain your challenge. I don't know which one I do first, but yes, I felt like I was missing an interactive part of that route. Yeah. So,
and what I do, I have cards that say roots, like 8x11 laminated cards, and I tape them all over the room. And I have them go, okay, you see these ROOTS all around the room. I want you to go to the one that's most challenging for your team. And I always do the team first, because coaches are really easy to say, oh, my kids are so disrespectful. Like, you know, they're always quick to blame the team. And then so they'll go and they'll talk about why. Why are your kids disrespectful of their opponents? Why are your kids disrespectful of their teammates? Why do your kids disrespect the rules? And then I'll say, okay, after they talk about that for a little bit, go to the one that's most challenging for you. And then the coaches like put their heads down and they all walk over.
This is where I got to get a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah. And I said 90% of them go to the officials, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm not proud, you know? So, and then, you know, that's an opportunity to say too, if you could take a mulligan and do a do-over, what would you have done over? How would you do it differently? So I would just love to see you do that. The next part, I really like that. Oh, you were talking about officials. I think it's great that you're an official, and I would throw in a story from that. Like, I think you hit it hard that you're an official, and this is hard, but if you have that in as your, you know, part of your credibility there, I would use it. So talk about an instance where, you know, I wouldn't necessarily bring up all the bad stories, but maybe there's a story of a team that went overboard to be respectful to you. And, you know, I've often said that I know for, you know, officials always say, yeah, I'm not a partial official. I don't favor one team over another, but I guarantee the team that's more respectful is going to get the call if it's a 50-50 chance. That's just human nature. So,
I mean, I like to say, because I don't think I would have any right now. Ironically, the only bad experience I have as an official is with the other officials because of. But I think it's also because of the culture. As a coach, I'm a coach, I'm a mom, and official, and I'm a mom of players that won that full scholarship last year to go play lacrosse. And since she's been where we were, she hasn't had a good experience with her coaches. She loved it up to a point, then didn't have a good experience, and now she's no longer playing. Literally paying for her own schooling because she does not want to play anymore. And so I haven't. So I don't know. I prefer the human factor. That's what I call it. So I don't think you'd have to worry about having a negative as an official. As a coach to an official, I've had officials. I've had to write into to get officials to say, hey, this is what happened. This is what we felt. Here's the video. It was a situation where somebody got a red card that wasn't even in the game. You know, we had like 8 yellow cards that game. It was bad. It was, maybe 2 were called for. So I've also been on the other end of a coach where this official for 2 years cannot officiate any of my games. You know, But yes, okay. So what I was trying to do, there's some, obviously I have stories. I mean, if you talk to Joanna or anybody else, I'll tell you I got stories.
Yeah.
I want to make made within that. We all do, exactly. Stayed within the time frame too, you know. Right. And I know you're talking fast and you're going through it, and without having a whole group to know what to concentrate on, you know, it was a full package. But absolutely, I think I could add stories to any single part of that.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Even the whole I think sometimes, you know, again, if you have that in your bag of tricks and you have some, I mean, don't force it if it's not there, but if you have something to be able to share that, I think that would be great. The other part of it too is just a question that I like to think about, because these workshops are meant to teach the coaches something, but they're even more meant to change behavior and have them practice it. So, okay, right now, take your sport, whatever it is. I don't know if you're doing a single sport workshop or whatever, but think about your sport, whether you have an umpire, an official, and I want you to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to disagree with that official respectfully on a call. You know, so they actually practice the language that would come out of their mouth. This is after the scenario. How would you practice that? What would you say if you disagree with an official call? How would you practice being respectful in your sport? So, and there's certain nuances of sports that are different. You know, you're not going to go up to, you know, in baseball, you can go up to the umpire. Lacrosse, it's the official. Soccer, there's no timeouts. So what do you do with that? Swimming, the officials are on the other side of the pool. How do you do that? You know, so I think it's just neat to have the coaches kind of talk about, if they do disagree with the call, how to do it respectfully. And if you disagree with the call, when do you flush it and just move on?
Right.
You know, and that's really important part. Officials will make mistakes. When an official makes the call, 50% of the people there are going to be mad, no matter what the call is. So keep that in mind, you know, that you can flush it and move on. Also, what was I going to say? Oh, when you said, I was laughing when you said, you know, if you could just get the girls' parents off your back, you know, job Little League orphans, which I thought was hilarious. So I've used that at my workshop. Well, the youth lacrosse orphanage looking for coaches. I'm in.
I love it. So really, I left out. I just need to concentrate more on the how. The how. Like after we go through and we discuss all the things. Okay, now how you know, approving. Like how do you do this and making them actually go through the. So I left out the how. I left out what we
coaches want to know. When they walk out of the workshop, they're not going to remember what ELM stands for. They're not going to remember. They're going to remember the stories you told them that tugged on their heartstrings. They're going to remember them practicing giving a criticism sandwich to the coach next to them. They're going to remember the discussion they had with the guy over here that, you know what he does? He has the center on his lacrosse team shake hands with the official the minute they go out for the draw. And that's mandatory on his, like, that's the kind of stuff they're going to remember. Like, oh, wait, I could have my team do that. Like, that's pretty easy. So it's the takeaways that the coaches are going to practice in your workshop and do that are going to change, you know, the behavior. The other thing I'd like to see you do more is reference the book, because they're going to have a at the workshop. So if you see on the slides, those little yellow flags that fly in, those little flags are all referencing the book. So the partner managers have,
and I actually forgot, I have it written in here too. Yeah. Like I had it written down, and I just because I didn't see the slide.
Yep, I have them open it up and look in there. Like, we're giving you 3 tools right now. There's 9 in that chapter. So again, that's why in the course I had you kind of go through and like come up with sport specific examples, so that the 3 that they have there are good, but maybe you have another one. Say, you know what, for example, this is something that you could do in terms of honoring the game. And, you know, it could be a quick example, like having the centers go out and shake hands with the official, you know, whatever, have the official come over and greet the team before. I do that every game I play now. I have the official come over. Can you give my players 2 tips for today? And, you know, every official is so happy to do it. Even if they're a 16-year-old girl, they'll come over and say, hey guys, I'm going to call a lot of shooting space. This is what shooting space means. Make sure you have your body within a 6 length of the girl. And, you know, my team is just like, wow, they're a person. They're helping me. So that was something I did for my high school.
Well, that's a wall. For me, that's a wall in Arizona. Mm-hmm. Like, I brought that up, and I'm like, okay, well, for our job, as far as the rules and stuff, besides, because it actually says in our code of conduct to respect. They don't even know its roots, but respect the rules, the officials.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, then why don't we? I said, I used to always go over to the sideline at halftime of a game, you know, especially youth, even JV. Are there any questions? You know, because it's not that big. Arizona's not that big. It's not like we have a whole bunch. But any questions on those calls?
Yeah.
You know? and we can answer them, or go over to the coach and is there anything that needs to be discussed? And they're like, no, we do it in the middle. And I'm just like, so yeah. I actually sent him an email and I'm like, you know what is the culture of lacrosse officials in Arizona? I would like to know what the culture that we want to have. That's actually, that's where I had to start.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yep. So those would be my suggestions, Heather. I think, that was really strong, and I'm excited to see you move forward and see what you can do with some of the other principals. Because you've got all the right tools in place. It's just a matter of, as you said, getting the PCA language down, bringing in your own experience, and challenging the how for the coaches. How are you going to do this? And have us think about it and discuss it and try it out at the workshop and practice.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. So I would love to see you if you want to do the intro to the workshop, that's great. If you want to go on and do one of the other principles, that's fine. I give you 3 opportunities to demonstrate this. Some people want 4. Some people say, I'm good with 2. So it's totally up to you. But I think the more you practice it, the more you just get the language down, so that when I do send you out to do a live workshop, you already have practiced those sections. So.
Okay. Well, I'll do the beginning and we'll just go in order. And then when you feel I'm ready to go out, I'll go. You just let me know, because I know you're bringing people into here. So it'll probably cost you a lot less money to not have to fly people into Arizona to do these workshops.
Yeah, it would be great. It would be great. Yeah. So I would say if you could do the introduction the next time, and then the final, and I'll have Rich and Tamara and Nicole, like some other Arizona people on. And you could do whatever principle you want for the final, so they can see you, and then they just check off like, yep, I'm comfortable with Heather. I feel like good, we can send her out. So that'll be the final. So I would do the intro next, and then you pick the principle that you want to do for the final.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds great.
All right. So let me know whenever you're ready to do that.
All right. Sounds great.
All right. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.